right, and welcome to the first ever Coaches Show here on London Football TV as the brainchild, really, of Coach Matt Snyder. And of course, as good football guys do, we always bring in as many football coaches as possible. So Coach O'Donovan joining us as well. So welcome, Coach O'Donovan. Welcome, Coach Snyder. And it really just a new piece of content here that Coach Snyder and I have been kind of dreaming up, pre-Beefs games. I usually got about 90 seconds with them before every game in the summertime. And always, good chance to talk about cool stuff we want to do after the season. And here we are. So,
We are
purpose.
talking ball, doing what we
Yeah.
love. I always love when we sit together in the summer and we're only missing Ron, but we get to talk ball, just, the three boys talking ball. So it's a great chance for us to get together and talk a little bit of football without me having to make a prediction. I get enough people telling me I suck anyway, so I don't need to make a prediction and get more of that. But we were just chatting. You're right. We're just chatting about what are we doing? I'm bored. Watching a lot of high school film, trying to see what's going on out there. What are people in the city doing now that I'm not coaching? My season's over. So we got a big game coming up. I'm from London, played high school football in London, coached high school football in London. London City Championship to me is a huge deal. It's always been. I never got a chance to play in it, but I've coached in a couple, and it's a big deal. It's coming up on Thursday. And so we want to talk about these two awesome teams and just kind of have a chat. And then we figured like let's bring in somebody that's seen them firsthand. So we got Coach O'Donovan here. He's played in a lot of city championships, both as a player as and a coach, and he had a chance this year to see both CCH and SAB from the sidelines. So we'll kind of bring him in a few minutes and talk a little bit about the teams. But I guess Coach O'Donovan, any memories of high school football championships, either as a player or as a coach? Did you ever play in one at
I never
SCA?
played one. The SCA went also the year after I left. But I was going to St. FX then with your brother, and I remember flying home for that city championship because my brother was on the team in grade 11.
Yeah.
It was the first one in SCA history, and it was just I remember like just a big deal, the excitement of it. We played Lucas. They'd beaten CCH the week before. Like I just remember it's just London high school football. Like nothing beats it. The vibe is just always
The best.
it's the best. Like it's the best.
What about your experience as a coach? Because you coached in a couple.
I've coached in 4 or 5 at this point. Only won one. 2012, we beat CCH. And then with Banting, then we were like the first like kind of iteration of like when the LDA and the TVRA or TVDSB were separated. And then like obviously last year I coached with Banting against CCH in the final, like this time last year. So yeah, like I was just thinking about it today. I think I've coached against CCH 5 times in the last 3 years.
I played CCH two finals back to back, 2016, 2017.
Not fun.
Came out victorious in both.
There you go.
So it's been a while since I lost to CCH, but I might be in the minority here because they rolled people this year. So
Old people. Yeah, they
two
roll
huge
us.
teams. You got CCH is like the traditional power in London, and they're back off the champions last year. And I think like, did they lose anybody? I don't know
No,
who graduated from last year's team. It
I
seems
want
like
to say
everybody's back.
they brought back 16 starters, if I'm not mistaken, or something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
think that number was 19.
19, like,
Yeah, which is wild.
and
You bring in
they were really good last year, man. Like
Yeah.
really, really good.
You bring 19 starters back, including your what 4-year starting quarterback. Like you're gonna have a pretty good team. And then you got SAB, who's kind of like been the slow burn to get here, and this is finally their chance. And I feel like I saw these guys in September at our high school game, and I remember saying like I'm pretty sure it's on the air. Like I feel like these guys are gonna be in the mix at the end because great quarterback, huge O line, and they were
Massive.
fast. They were fast, man. They could run. They had Fadia's Sam Fadia. He played for us this fall. His brother, he's got speed to burn, but their O line is huge. And obviously, quarterback. We're going to talk about quarterback shortly. Like quarterbacks he's awesome. He's a player. He might be arguably one of the top two in the city. And I think the other one is the guy we're going to talk about right after him. So
100%.
I know Adam had a couple graphics on how these teams got here, and kind of we'll talk about a little bit about the season that got these guys into this game. But CCH, they started off, played old Benny over there at Mother Teresa, his first game as head coach. So we're not going to hold it against them, but they had a pretty convincing win against MTS. And then tough game against Oak Ridge that was on London Football TV. I think one of the first featured games of the year. And that was a close one, 28-7. I say close by CCH standards. When you look at some of the other scores, it was pretty close, but competitive game with Oak Ridge. And there's a couple points in the game where I think people were like, "Oh, Oak Ridge might have a chance here." And then they went and played SAB week 3 of their homecoming, which was an awesome turnout, and I think they handled that one pretty well. You were there as well, Melrose. Any recollection of those games?
Yeah, I mean the Oak Ridge game, I think they scored like a touchdown a quarter. So like Oak Ridge doing a really good job. Like the lines were really well coached and did a good job of just containing them. And then they scored late, like I think one of the last minute or so of the game. But uh, you know, surprising game for sure that it wasn't a complete blowout. Now, anytime you're at Kennedy Field, now I was filming from that little parking garage off to the
Yeah.
side because literally there was nowhere else to film. I'd reached out to Kurowski and I said, "Can I get in the middle somewhere?" And he's like, there's already going to be 9 tower cameras and medics and stuff like that. But it's anytime you go downtown to play down in the city, that's a tough out. And CCH was rolling that night. And when you've got, they always do the CCH chant on the sideline, but when you've got the entire place doing it, it's a little intimidating for sure. But yeah, that was a pretty one-sided affair.
Just
Nathan's,
an aside, that perch, I think they call that Cercelli's perch because even back when I played, Coach Cercelli's, and I'm talking like Coach Cercelli, like the Coach Cercelli, because there's been a couple Coach Cercelli's.
yep,
His brother would always be up there filming the games back before I think even teams even film games. So there's always been a Cercelli up there filming the game from that one spot. So
yeah. Well, it's funny. I digitized 10 or 2 decades worth of CCH highlight films for the guys in the last
yeah,
year. And it was funny when I was filming from there, I'm like, this is exactly where all of that film was from. That and like
oh,
that
yeah.
third story window up on I think it was the teacher's lounge or something like that. But yeah, it's really the only good spot to film from there because the middle of the field's like, where they have their, what do they call it? The flats or whatever that,
Yeah.
practice area is. But
CCH is
yeah,
the only stadium in London with a heated press box in the
yeah,
end
right.
zone.
Yeah.
So then they finished the year off. They kind of got on a roll at the end. They handled Banting pretty well, and then went to St. Joe's. I think that was in St. Thomas, and they beat them up pretty good. And then Parkside in the semifinal or quarterfinals, pretty convincing one as well. Then they handled South last week in the semis, and that gets them to here. And then on the other side, and Ben, I'm going to bring you in a second.
Yeah.
SAB started off, they played Laurier in our preseason game, and that was a really good game. Both teams, they looked really. And I don't think they had Sweeney that game. They had the other quarterback in, who I thought was really good as well. I thought, holy crow, Sweeney's out. And they got this kid. How many teams can go too deep at quarterback in high school with a kid that can operate your offense? Sweeney's back week one. They handled St. Joe's pretty handily. Uh, Played Ben again at Mother Teresa. Then they played CCH. We talked about that game, and they lost. And then Oak Ridge. So you're seeing some trends where their teams are playing Oak Ridge competitively. Banting was a close one. I think they won on a rouge last play of the game or something pretty close from what I recall. We need a red zone for high school football during the week. We need like a bunch
Right.
of guys out there with their cell phones just flipping because I don't get to see some of these games. And then, pretty handily win over Laurier in the quarters. And then they beat up Medway in the semis, which I think was semi-upset territory for a lot of people because Medway was kind of rolling through the season. I think a lot of people had already cashed the Medway was going to go to the finals and get a chance to play CCH. So they beat Medway, and that gets them here. Ben, you've seen both these teams. Like, I'm gonna ask you some specific questions in a bit, but like, what are your? And I don't want to put you in a painful spot because I know that first year as a head coach in a program that's kind of making a turn. But like, what are your recollections of those two games?
Just big and physical. Like they just dump. They were like, especially like I remember Sad particularly just being like really mean and gritty. Like those kids were really like they're because I kind of look at the same neighborhood as Banting kids, and I taught there for the last 5 years. I understand like same neighborhood kids, so like the mindset's the same. You can see that at that program. John's worked really hard. Coach Payne's worked really hard the last 10 years of building that thing out of nothing, and you can see those kids have completely bought into the community. They've bought into like the program's message and what they're trying to do. And once again, like just man, there's really, really physical football teams on both sides.
And a lot of continuity on the coaching staff at SAB, from what I kind of recollect. They got Bruce over there doing the defense, and he's been there at least 3 or 4 years, and that feels like they get better every year defensively. And so in CCH, like continuity is king at that school. They've had guys there that have been there since grade nine, literally. Like some of their coaches, I don't think they've ever left CCH,
And
which is
also like two really good football communities outside of like the field aspect, like
yeah,
just in regards to like building like a family like vibe outside of like the
yeah.
football field. Like you're noticing I've noticed a trend like just even with like the junior teams with Laurier and SAB and CCH, all great off like field communities. And that matters in high school football. It really
Yep,
does.
absolutely. Well, let's talk personnel. I mean, that's kind of what gets teams where they got to be is who's playing the positions. Because at the end of the day, like it all comes down to players. But let's start at quarterback, and maybe we'll bring Adam in here because you've seen probably the most out of Sweeney of anybody because you're so heavily involved with the or with the junior Mustangs. But Sweeney at quarterback, like I watched a bunch of film the last couple weeks getting ready for this chat. And the one thing I think about Sweeney, like I kind of wrote some notes down, like when he throws the ball, it almost like I call him like he strokes it. Like it just comes off his hand like a pool player hitting a nine ball in the quarter pocket. Like it's so smooth.
Yeah, it's a
Great
pretty
anticipation.
it's a pretty ball. I've got actually see if I can flip to this real quick, but
Yeah.
this is the his pass to Wilkins
Yeah.
in the game, and it just comes out. Let's flip back here, but it really just it's a pretty ball, and just one of these kids that played a lot of U16 ball too at the Pershot's film as well here, but just very comfortable, just launches the thing.
Yeah.
Beauty ball.
Throwing smash.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about them throwing smash in the red zone in a little bit because they've been throwing smash on everybody in the city. But he's a thrower, man. I love the kid. What are your thoughts on him, Ben? You saw him firsthand.
He didn't play against us. Rory was
Okay.
playing quarterback when we played against him. But like from what I've seen in like he's also a really good runner too. Like I've noticed
Yeah.
against Medway, they were doing some like power read stuff. He was taking the edge and just taking that C gap. But he's also got flight of feet, which is I think that's going to kind of come down to getting that +1 on offense these for both teams.
Yeah.
The quarterbacks are both really, really good players, and the more you can get that +1 in the run game with the quarterback, I think, with especially with him and maybe some like RPO stuff, the better they'll be off, kind of chunking the ball down the field.
100%. One thing I want you to kind of pay attention to, and we'll talk about this when we get into the film a little bit later, is anticipation. His anticipation is off the charts. And then on the other side of the field, you got the old man at quarterback, Jed. I think he's in his ninth year as a starting quarterback at CCH. Feels like he was playing quarterback there in grade five. But longtime starter. The one thing I noticed is I feel like the offense really goes through him. I can kind of see, like, I feel pretty familiar with what Mark's been doing on offense at CCH, Coach Howard. I mean, like, because like we game planned against him for a couple years in a row, but feels like their offense has really changed a little bit in
Yeah.
terms of going to more what Jed's really comfortable with, a lot of play action stuff and some RPO stuff where they're tagging some free release stuff on some of the runs. From what I'm seeing, what are your thoughts, Ben? What did you see when you played him?
Like the other thing, like he's a thick kid, man. Like he's hard to tackle. Like he brings a boom when he carries the ball as well.
Mhm.
And then like it's he's his fifth year. He's had so many reps in high school football playing some
Yeah,
high competition. Like
yeah,
it is a man playing against boys a lot. Like it's just from like like time. Like football takes time, and the
oh
more you
yeah,
play football, the better you get at it. And you
yeah,
can just tell this kid immediately has played a lot of football, especially it's his fifth year at CCH, right? Like
yes, yeah.
Yeah, and when you look at Jed Trubbish too, I think he was on DeSanto's team at the Junior Mustangs for what, 4 summers in a row. They went like 33-0 kind of thing. Like this is a kid who entered high school, a champion over a champion a couple of times and has
Yeah.
played like some of the best kids in the province, and then shows up to play. I think when he started on senior at his junior year in high school or something like this.
Yeah,
So
I think he was a
it's
grade 10 starter.
yeah,
So
it's pretty
good on him.
special. Yeah, and
Reminds me of a young Matt Snyder out there.
I like it, but well, we interviewed him at Kelsey's last week too when he was there, and it just kind of the same thing. And he just said like there's not a whole lot he hasn't seen that you
Yeah,
can see in high school ball. The thing I like about Jed, he's just got an edge about him. Like
yeah,
it's just he's just got that panache, right? And it's just like commands the boys, has that attitude, and when big plays happen, he's the first guy in there just dapping everybody up on the field,
yeah,
but just a general to get them right back into the in the huddle to keep it going. So yeah, it's
yeah,
been it's been exciting to see this season especially as he's really really
for
matured.
sure.
So,
One thing we'll notice when we watch film and come is his decision making with him. I think he makes really good decisions on where the ball should go, and I think he's got a really good grasp pre-snap of what Coach Howard's looking for him to see. So you can tell that they're kind of seeing it the same way. Running backs next. I mean, Keyshawn from CCH is a guy that I owe a lot to because we won a championship running the ball with through him in the summer in 2022. But when I talk about Keyshawn, when I think about Keyshawn, it's home run hitter. Like he's just a home run hitter. I love him. I think he's one of the best backs in the city that's come up for a while. But he can run between the tackles. He runs the gap scheme that they're really starting to dive into at CCH, and he can run the inside zone game as well. He's a drive finisher, but he's also a home run hitter. On the other side, They got two of those guys. Sam Fadia's, I don't know his name, but I just know him as Sam Fadia's brother. We coached
Michael.
Fadia, Michael Fadia. Like
Yeah.
the first time I saw him was in the high school game for the Beefeaters, and he busted like a 60 yarder. I looked at Sam, and I'm like, he's faster than you are, buddy. Holy crow. He's got speed. And then I think they have the Douglas kid as well, who's a
Yeah.
junior Mustangs guy. And I'm not sure if he's still playing, but like you got a big between the tackles back and then a guy that can hit it with some speed. Like it's hard to play defense against a team that can throw you, the changeup and the fastball as well. So any thoughts on those guys, Ben?
Like Keyshawn's like, he's a special player. Like
Mhm.
he's just that one cut vertical back that like, and he's huge too. Like just trying to tackle him is
Yeah,
it's next to impossible. Like he just ran through our guys at the start of the year.
absolutely.
And like, with the weather as it is right now, it's gonna be cold out. Like that's the kind of back you want in this kind of situation.
Yeah.
And they have another kid too, Nathan Sims, their other running back. Same kind of build, a little bit bigger, but same thing. Like he's a one cut. Like it's hard to bring him down, especially
Yeah.
with this weather. Like it's going to be cold out, and those guys are hard. Like it's hard to tackle when it's like this. That's for sure.
I feel like CCH got like seven of those kids in their high school just
Yeah,
waiting for their turn to play. So,
yeah,
and then O line, we'll talk about SAB first. When I saw SAB in September, their O line, I said these guys are probably gonna be in the city championship just based on the fact that these guys are huge. Like this O line is massive, so they're a big. They got a kid playing tackle. I don't know his name, but I really like him. Connor Stewry's playing there, and I've had some chance to coach him, and he's my guy. He's a vet. He's another kid that's played a lot of ball. So huge O line. They love to run counter H, which I think everybody in London's running counter H right now. It's probably the most popular play in the city. But you can see them running some outside zone as well. And their guys get off the ball and they move their bodies. So they can kind of change it up by run the gap scheme away from the fullback, and then they can run outside zone to the fullback. So it's hard to play defense when your strength could go either way. O line for CCH, like when haven't they been good? They're huge. I would call them more like, to me, they're more maulers.
yeah.
They want to run power O. From what I'm seeing, they're just everything kind of runs around through power O. We're going to talk about that in the film shortly, but they get guys to the second level really well. I think it all starts with the tight end. He's a tackle. You can call him a tight end all you want, but he's a tackle. Big number 60, big Tex. They want to run the ball behind a lot of time, and I'll show you a clip where and sorry Ben, but he just mauls like a four tech or a three tech at the front side of point of attack. So the O line at CCH is huge. I know that's where the coaching staff kind of thinks their strength is, so that's where they're building around. But what are your guys' thoughts on the O lines?
Yeah, just really well coached. Like you can see on film, like we'll see it later, like the walls they create on their down block.
Yeah,
It's just a sea of blue. Like there's
yeah,
no crease in between it. There's no defenders getting through it. You can tell
absolutely,
Coach Grant is just doing a fantastic job with those guys.
Yeah, well, and I
absolutely.
think the late season success Sab's been having too. I think they had two or three linemen that were finally healthy by the playoffs, that really gave Sweeney that little bit of extra time, and even Wilkins when he had to step in the Medway game, and that literally had guys who could handle Weston Gower coming off the edge, which is like that's a well-trained defensive end, probably one of the best at his age, in the province. So when you could still give Sweeney all sorts of time to throw, that's you're coaching those boys up for sure.
Hmm. Now, receiver, I didn't watch too much of CCH's receivers because, to be honest, I just fell in love with them running power. I think I watched them running power for 4 hours and then I rolled over and fell asleep, but it was awesome. But Sab, they got some kids that can run. I don't know what's the one kid's name that's making all the plays for him? I think he played quarterback. Wilkins.
Yeah,
Wilkins,
Rory
number one.
Wilson.
Holy crow, he's pretty
Yeah.
good. He's got dynamic ability to track the ball in the air, but he's got great releases. There's a couple of clips where he runs routes. Like he's got some intelligence. I don't know who's coaching receivers at Sab, but somebody's doing a good job over there getting guys to understand how to work releases and work stacking back on top of defenders. Because I'm going to show you a couple clips later where they go vertical two times, two times they run the same play, and it's really well run. Like the kids are getting coached there on how to run routes and throw the ball. And then when you combine that with a quarterback that's got the anticipation, you can see why their passing offense is such a threat across the city. I didn't spend too much time watching the defenses. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to bring Coach O'Donovan in is he has spent a bunch of time game planning against the defenses. So maybe we'll throw it over to Coach O'Donovan and talk a little bit about what your thoughts are on the defense for each of these teams.
Yeah, so like Saab, they run like, 43. The Sam's usually kind of like in an apex. Like their strength also is like defensive tackles. Like the pressure they were getting up the middle on us was we just had no time. a lot of like cover three hold coverage. There's some like man mixed in, but they're pretty traditional in that sense. Like their guys do a good job just getting to their drops, watching quarterback. They fly to the ball. Just watching some of the Medway game was on there, like same kind of thing. You can just tell they're well coached. They're just doing their thing, playing their hole, getting to their drops, seeing the ball, finding the ball, and then kind of jumping it when they get the chance.
Yeah. CCH, I think like defensively they're a 40 front, but I know that they want to keep it real simple because they want their
Oh
guys to
yeah,
play very fast. Like I'm not sure that CCH is going to ever confuse you with exotics, but they're very well coached in that their alignment is great. They tackle the ball well. They probably play a lot of three hole, but they play it really good. So,
man, they do for
yeah,
sure.
defensively, like they're not going to out trick you. They're just going to outplay you. And I think it's hard to play against teams that do that because you got a million plays that are going to get open on paper, but when you start putting them against humans, like their guys are in position to make plays, so they're super well coached. They're just disciplined, just a good, solid all around football team. Nothing special either way in terms of like they're not real blitz heavy. They're not playing some
Not at
exotic
all.
front, but they're
Like
just
they
good.
do a very good job of just kind of like getting their linebackers like playing like read and reacting. They're not sending them
Yeah,
through gaps very often. They're just like playing football, like sound football, just dropping in their hold coverage. Eyes are always on the quarterback. They're just standing there buzzing. Like it's the same thing we were going against in 2012 and 2015 and
yeah. And when you got a great offense, sometimes that's the best way to play defense. Is just say like, hey, well,
for sure.
let's not get crazy here. Let's just play good defense because we know we're going to score points. Let's force the
Totally.
other team to try to score points against us. Adam, like you've seen these guys play from a different perspective. What are your thoughts on just the vibe of these two teams and kind of the sense of what you're seeing when you watch these teams play live?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking CCH defense, it's Nathan Summers. It's the name you need to know. That guy's flying across the field. Bobby Matthews special too, but the I think the defensive line for CCH understand we're gonna cancel gaps and we're gonna let the linebackers get the highlight tape.
Yeah,
And they've done such a good job of doing their jobs, keeping contained, and then you just see Summers and Matthews just flying in, making huge plays.
yeah.
And then I think we're a little bit of the opposite. And I know Coach Brucey at SAB is the D-line coach there too. I coached with them in the summer, and like you were just seeing a lot of attacking D-line from SAB, and the LBs not being as involved because a lot of this, the pressure they were bringing. So, but yeah, it's if you're scheming against the CCH defenses, what are you doing to deal with Summers is it would be my biggest concern
He's
for.
a special player. Like I just remember at Banting, like the amount of times he would like just make the play on like from the backside of just running like power and stuff like that, just spike a gap. You just read and just fill immediately. Like he's a special player, man. Like guys like him don't come around like often.
But he's another guy that's played a ton of football. He's been
Yeah.
playing summer ball for a long time. You're starting to see a theme. Like there's some guys that have played a lot of football that are able to play very fast in a high school setting. It's a little slower, I'm assuming, than the summer ball season, but it's also like they're coming into a season having seen 10, 12 games of football, but just the cumulative effect of playing football that much, it's going to help you get better, right? Like you can't do
Well, it
something that
slows the game
often.
down, right? Like
Yeah.
you see it at a slower speed. Like you can just read and react faster when you're going against faster opponents all the time.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
in the summer, and then all of a sudden you go to high school, and like the equity's not as spread out throughout the league. Like there's good
Yeah.
players, but like it's not like every team in the OSFL, and it slows down a bit. And you can like I always tell our Mother Teresa kids, like you get better at football by playing football.
Yeah.
Like that's full stop end of story.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
Absolutely.
what's interesting with CCH too is Summers, Manning, DeSando, Troupish, and I know I'm missing one more. Those kids, before they got to high school, each played about 14 seasons of football between LMFA and summer ball. And they're still playing together. And then they all took last summer off to just train and get back into high school. So they didn't even have a chance to get beat up in the summer, right?
Yeah.
And so it was just like fully healthy, nothing but the gym all summer, and then they showed up to just absolutely just go to town in this fall season. And it is slower ball. It's still tough ball at high school, but
Yeah.
it's not the
yeah.
speed. And I've said this a couple times too. I think the biggest difference between summer ball and high school ball is, as we've just said here, like you're preparing for three, maybe four or five people on or players on each side of the ball when you're playing in high school. In the summertime, it's like you got 12 dogs
Uh,
on either side of the ball. So it's kind of a different, plan, but that's, we've got this special CCH team, 19 returners. I got a
Yeah.
message in the chat too that the only person they really lost from last year's team was Liam Davis, who went to Waterloo.
Yeah.
But another absolute animal
One
at
of
the
the other
line.
things that I think makes a big difference in the high schools is like you don't get as much indie time. Just a lot of teams, they don't have a full coaching staff. But you look at CCH, they got a coach at every position, so they're getting indie time. And I know the coaches there, like I've watched them practice on the recruiting show. They're working individual stuff. And then SAB is the same way. They got a pretty good staff there too, and they got a lot of guys that have played at a high level, have been around some pretty good levels of football. So they're likely getting a ton of indie time too. And you do see teams developing when they're getting that individual time. You don't need to be an indie for half hour, but 10 minutes a day cumulatively adds up. So scheme wise, let's kind of switch it up and talk a little bit about the X and O's because that's really why we're both here. And when I watch these two teams on offense, and Ben hit on it, and Melo, Adam, you hit on it earlier too, is like CCH defensively very, vanilla, well coached, but just like sound at everything. Sab's a little bit more aggressive. Offensively, there's big differences as well. CCH, 21 personnel. Tight end to fullback, running back, they want to run the football. Whereas you see Sab is more what I would call like the traditional London offense, four receivers with the H, and they're going to put them beside the quarterback. They're going to have them beside the tackle, move them around, run the ball to them, run the ball away from them. But Sab wants to throw the ball outside zone and then counter away. CCH is power. Everything kind of works off of power from what I've seen. They're throwing a lot of their traditional London stuff as well, but it all kind of starts with they want to run off tackle power and then make everything look like off tackle power, which is a big thing that I noticed from CCH this year is they're getting more into the gap schemes the last few years. Because when I was coaching against them at South, they were all inside outside zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was everything was inside and outside zone and the zone read, and they'd run like the RPO where they'd anchor at the end and throw like the glance and stuff. But it seems like they're moving really towards the gap scheme stuff this year. I don't know if that's Karowski's kind of influence or if that's Coach Howard kind of recognizing this is where their strength is. Um, I don't know. Ben, any thoughts on that?
I just like with their personnel, right? Like their offensive line is so big. Like how can you not run gap scheme with guys like that? Like it just makes it so simple to just step down a gap and just a wave, right? Like when we're
Yeah.
watching the film, when they run power, it's just a wall. Like
One thing I'm
the kick and the
100%.
wrap really doesn't matter because they have
Yeah.
that tight end in there and they create that wall and it's off to the races.
Absolutely. And you see a lot more teams in London playing the 50 front defense.
Yeah,
I think
especially
that
the
kind of
five.
started with, South had some success with it a while ago, and it seemed like everybody started moving towards the 50 front. And now you can't go a week without seeing, people
I think
playing
it's a rite
full.
of passage in London. As soon as you get to the playoffs, there's some kind of 50 front coming your way. Like
50 front.
that's
That's it. I used to say all the time, what are you going to get in playoffs? 50 front,
50 front.
50 front. Someone's playing a 50 or playing cover zero.
Yeah. So you're gonna
So
see. Yeah.
Sab throws a lot of alley screens. They got so here's what I think about the offense. The CCH is like what I would call a series-based offense. They want to run stuff, and then the next thing looks like the first thing, and the next thing looks like the next thing. I feel like SAB is more like they have plays, and then they have an answer off of that play based on how you play it or when you start to overreact. So they throw an alley screen, then they're going to come back, and you're going to jump it. They're going to throw the wheel route to the slot. They're going to run a motion when you overplay. They're going to come back and run counter away. But they want to throw more traditional, like what I would call like Canadian spread offense concepts. They want to throw smash route to the inside the red zone. They want to get into 31 and throw like three verticals or divide, and they've had a lot of success with that as well. These guys are really well coached. People ask me like, well, what does that mean? Like, what does really well coached mean? Well, I'm going to show you a couple examples of things that I've seen that I think show me that these teams are really well coached. So, you guys want to watch a little bit of film and just talk our way through some film?
Absolutely.
All right, let's share my screen and we'll get her going. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I got access. I got friends in low places, so I got access to everybody's film in London pretty much. So I've been watching a bunch of high school film the last couple weeks. Let me know when it's up and we'll get her going. We're
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Got CCH. Sorry, Ben. This is
It's
the
all right.
first time.
Yeah.
CCH playing Mother Teresa week one. We'll walk through it. So CCH comes out. They're in 21 personnel. So they got a tight end, 21, two backs and a tight end. They got a tight end right there. That's true. I think that's Tex. They got their fullback. And then they got a wide out in a slot, and they're going to run power to the right, power at us. And we'll watch this first. And I'm going to kind of go back and I'm going to show you why I think that this shows that they're really well coached. But you can see, first thing we're going to watch is watch the down block from the tight end and the double team. They get a ton of movement here. Like, look at number 60. just crushing movement. I'll tell you what, I don't care what kind of defense you play when you're, and again, I apologize, Ben, but when you're getting knocked back off the ball like that, it doesn't matter what your scheme is because you can't play defense when you're getting knocked that far back off the ball. But the guard does a good job getting upfield. He almost can't find anybody to block. But here's two things that I see on film that show me that these guys have a really good coaching staff in place. Okay, first thing I want to show you is this. Look at the formation. And I think Coach Howard does a great job of using formations to start to dictate how the defense can align to make sure you don't have a free hitter. So they want to run power to the right. So they go slot formation. So they got a wide out and a slot. And what that does is it forces this frontside half to walk out and cover the number 2 receiver. So now you can't have this half squeezing down on the front side, giving them another hitter. Like there's no way to block that half in your power scheme if he's unoccupied. So if you have your slot over here, this half's just going to walk down, free hitter. So CCH formations the half out of the box, which means they got a nice clean edge. They're going to block the end. They're going to pull to the backer. They're going to build their wall inside, and they're good to go. But watch the second thing is, watch how the backside receiver waggles down and tries to dig out the backside half. They don't care about this backside corner. They don't want this half getting involved in making a play for maybe a 5-yard gain or a 15-yard gain. If they can get this guy blocked, maybe they bust one and it becomes a huge run. So just formational awareness to be able to influence how a defense aligns to make sure that you run the ball at the most opportune front. You want to have your front side clean. And watching that backside receiver getting inside and digging out the bigger threat. The half's a bigger threat than the corner is. So those two things right there show me like there's some thought going into how they're coaching their guys on this play. And this isn't there's nothing special about Power O. It's the most basic play in football. It's just a common play that they're going to run probably 10 times a game. But the details and the nuances is where they do, I think, their damage. So that's a great example right there of a simple play. You're going to come back a couple series later, and they're going to run the same formation. Tight end. Here's the fullback. Here's the single receiver. You got a slot here. Just off the screen is the wide receiver. So exact same formation. And they're going to run play action off of power. It's going to look the exact same. Okay? So they're going to have the fullback start to release. He's going to leak out to the flats. This slot's going vertical. You're going to see the wide receiver. He's going to run vertical. I almost guarantee that he's going to run a 12 to 15-yard in route. I guarantee they're running some kind of what everybody in line calls a gin concept. Flats, seam, dig, and they're going to high-low the half. But watch what Troopish does here. He's got a backside hitch built into this concept. This is where the coaching happens. And this is where we talked about earlier is how you can tell that Troopish and Howard are on the same page. Like he's seeing the game the way his offensive coordinator wants him to see it. Because he's got a backside hitch, and Troopish looks out here and probably sees, hey, this corner is 8 yards off. I got a free 5-yard hitch here, probably one of my better guys. And he's going to work the play fake, and he's just going to come off and throw that hitch. Now, it's not completed, but it's open. It's the right read, and it's perfectly on time. But what I like about this play is that this looks exactly like the power we just ran. If you're a linebacker, how do you determine if this is power, if this is play action? It's a hard read to see. It looks very identical. And you're going to see another play coming up shortly. It's going to look the exact same as those two plays. So let's go to the next one. All right, now they're playing Oak Ridge. Still in 21 personnel. Here's your tight end. Here's your fullback. Here's your running back. Okay? And now they're going to fake power to the right. They're going to come back and run counter H, or what a lot of people call Bronco, or power switch. They're going to run it back to the left. Okay? But first of all, let's talk about the motion. That looks the same as power. The fullback leaving just a hair early, working on his power path. Everything to the defense shows that that's power to the right. But then they fold everything back. They pull the guard, and they bring the fullback through. And you get a nice little counter action. The backfield action with Troopish and Keyshawn looks the same as power to the right. They're just building in another play. Watch the backside receiver here. Same thing. He's going to try to get in here and dig out this half because he knows the corner's not a threat. Now, he's a little late there, but the scheme's sound. But here's the real coaching points. Remember we talked a little bit earlier about how they use formations to influence? So now they want to run to the left. Where's the slot? He's to the left. Now this half has to walk out and cover the slot. So they can't have this half jumping into the front side play gap, like where they want to run the ball. So Coach Howard is using the formation to force this half out to play coverage, making sure that they have the best front side possible to run the ball. So they're using the formations to influence how the defense aligns to get themselves into the best run front possible. And to me, that's where the game planning is. And that's where when I say like hey, these guys are well coached, that's the coaching right there is how they game plan and how they use the formations to their benefit. Because that's not something that everybody is doing. Some
Just
people
even the
don't
little,
understand.
just even the little things, Matt, like Manning's footwork and the mesh point, like that's you can tell they do those mesh point periods in practice. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's just
flawless, it's flawless.
what I like about it, and this is like why I like this is because this is what we try to do at the Beefeaters. And Ben, you've been there.
Totally,
We want everything to
totally,
look the same. We
totally.
want it to be very hard for a defense to identify until the last possible second what play is actually coming here. Because this could be one of three plays. So that three plays, I'm going to pause it right at the start. I'm going to try to pause at the right time. Bear with me, guys. Right there. You don't know what play. Is that power right? Is that the power right play action? Is that counter left? You don't know. 1 second into the play and you still have no idea.
Mhm.
And it's not till this fullback starts to wheel back around that it actually is your first indicator. This is actually coming back to the left. So it's ingenious design. It's simple. It's not like groundbreaking, but it's sound. It works. But it's been coached well. They're using the formations to their advantage. And the kids know what they're doing. You could tell that this team knows how to block this front. Watch 66, the left tackle, come
Bang.
off to the mic at the last second. He's a little high on his release, but he identifies, he knows exactly where he's going, and he blocks that Mike backer just enough to get the ball through. Watch the fullback come through with great leverage. Great job from 99 on the leverage here. And watch Manning. Patient, patient, patient. Nice 5 yard gain, 7 yard gain. Not the home run we talked about, but I'll tell you, you can win a lot of championships if you just get 7 yards of pop on counter H. Let's go to SAB. We're going to talk about a little different mentality now. SAB's going to be more traditional London formations, two receivers, fullback. They're going to throw the ball. And I see a couple different concepts that they throw. First one we're going to talk about is they're in the red zone. And the one thing I noticed about SAB is they want to throw the ball to score. They love to throw the ball inside that, 20, 15-yard red zone area. They're going to throw like a little smash route, which is like an under corner right here. Just like the same play you could tell was coming on that highlight we saw from when we saw the Sweeney to Wilkins play from a couple minutes ago. But watch this ball. We talked about stroke. The ball is out
God.
as he's breaking, but look at where the placement of that ball is. That's a great throw. Now they don't complete it, but that's a great play from the defensive back. But that's a great throw, and I love the concept here. It's just simple. And I chose this play because it was the best film I could find of it. But I chose this concept because I see them throwing this all over the field. Unfortunately, some of the film wasn't very good. But I just really like this. It's a simple concept, but the timing and the stroke of the throw is perfect. And they'll throw this later on and they get a completion on it for a touchdown. Let's go to another couple plays. Here's the play that I really like them running. And this is where I can tell that the receivers are getting well coached on how to work releases. They're just in 3-by-1, so three receivers to the wide side of the field, and they're just going to run vertical, post route, and then some kind of underneath. And some teams will run this on a vertical. Some teams will have him fly and die. Some teams will run him on an in road to control. But really, they're just trying to read off the free safety. This guy's up the seam. This guy's crossing the free's face. If the free goes this way, we're throwing the post. If the free stays back or doesn't move, we're going to try to hit the seam in the window. If both get covered, we find the underneath. What do you call this play, Ben?
We usually send them all vertical. I think what we call it Viper. I can't remember.
Viper, yeah. It's
Viper,
just
yeah.
the three, pearl, divide. Everybody has a different name for it, but it's super common.
Flop. We called it flop in the past.
Flop in the past. Watch number one. I think this is Wilkins, correct?
Yep.
Is that his name?
Correct.
Wilkins. Okay, watch his release on the half. Does a great job of inside release, but now as he comes by, see how he stacks back? The anticipation from Sweeney. Little play fake here. He knows his first read is the seam. It's open. He throws it wide open. But I love the release from number one. How he's inside release to the half. He stacks. I like number 20, the three receiver, working that post route across the free's face. He does just enough to hold the free safety. We're looking at this guy right here. Just enough to hold him to get the seam open. If the free safety is more aggressive here and flies out this way, you're probably going to see Sweeney come back to the post. But he doesn't need to because his first route gets open. And it gets open because the receiver does a great job stacking. Let's go down a couple series later, same game. Almost same ball placement. Same formation, same defense alignment. They're gonna run the same play. Now watch number one, this middle receiver. He's gonna take an outside release this time, but he does the same thing. He stacks back in. Sweeney does another great job with anticipation, getting the ball out early. I think they play action again. Ball's out on time. Nice placement. Hard to play defense against that throw, eh, fellas? Like that's right where it needs to be. So
Well, he does such a good job at the stack that corner he splits the corner too, right? The corner can't just
yeah,
kind of jump it. So like getting back on
100%.
top of that lane is just
And
that's
that's the one thing I notice is that the receivers are just he just does a great job of getting back on his we call it a track, just getting back on your track and stacking it. So you got one of the top receivers in the city running routes like this. It's hard to play defense. You got a quarterback that'll throw it in there that understands how to work the reads. You got a simple concept design. I mean, this is a concept that everybody in the world throws. If you play Madden, I guarantee you've called this on, 3rd and 20 a bunch of times, but easy. But it's a touchdown 2 times that game. So good on them. Here's the last one. And I like this one because this was ingenious. I saw this play and I thought, I've never seen that before, but I love it. I'm stealing this play. Okay. So they come out there in 22, full back to the wide to the right, sorry, left. You're going to bring motion over here. Again, sorry, Ben, I chose this.
all right.
Mother Teresa's working their rotation. So they got an isolation on the backside. And this receiver's going to waggle down. He's trying to close his gap. Earlier in the season, they had run like some crossing routes and stuff from this same motion. They fake the wide zone to the running back. And Sweeney comes back. And they get a little double move here. For number 5, I'm going to show it from the start. Like a little triple move, one-man wheel route. Thought, holy crow, that's awesome. And Sweeney on the bootleg. I just like this because it's ingenious design. It's taking something that your quarterback does really well, which is moves around. It's taking a run play you run a ton. And so you're creating some play action bootleg off of one of your best run plays. But you're getting your guy free on the backside isolation. And I mean, in high school football in any city, but London especially, if you can get one-on-one, you're probably going to throw one-on-one. London is a one-on-one city. If you're getting one-on-one coverage, you're probably going to throw one-on-one against teams in London. So I just really like this design. So this shows me the creativity that the offensive coordinator at SAB is using because this is a really good look concept. I really like it a lot. And it's a nice touchdown. So I'm going to stop sharing here. That's it. That's just like a couple quick examples of some things that I'm seeing on film. So if you're going to the game and you haven't seen these guys play, or you're a parent and you're watching the game and you're kind of saying, these guys are really good. Well, here's why they're really good. Coaching staff's using formations to influence how the defense aligns. Really creative play designs from SAB to get a nice one-on-one double move, triple move route on the backside of a bootleg. Like that's ingenious. That's very creative. Somebody really had their thinking cap on there. But just great execution of simple concepts. CCH running power and then a power play action and a counter off power that all look the same. SAB coming out and throwing the same route, the three-man divide route, and just having great anticipation for a quarterback, getting their best guy to know how to work stacks on halves. That's where the coaching's happening. It's not like, they got to run the ball on 2nd and 5. Like, you got to throw the ball there. No, it's like that's coaching that guy during the week and watching film and saying, hey, if we go slot away, the half's going to bump out. We don't have to block the half. Now we can run the ball to the will. Now we push everything to the will. That's where the coaching happens. So you got these coaches sitting in their basements watching a bunch of film to come up with those answers. It's going to be a great game. I think everybody can say, like, nobody can argue that this is going to be a really good game here. You got two really strong teams, two teams that have a little bit different personality. I'm sure they do some things very similar, but there's some distinct personalities at play here. And I'm excited to see how this game shows up. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? I've talked enough.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you putting the clips together, and I like this little underground film sharing that you've got going on here too, Snides. This is
Don't
I think
ask,
we were
don't
saying
tell.
before we got on air. I said, like even I really want to do more content exactly like this, and great breakdown on some of those plays. But thank goodness these are two schools that do an all right job at filming, right? I wish we could do this for every school, and I know there's a lot of people watching the stream right now. Like if like put a push on in 2026 to film your stuff, practices, games, preseason stuff. Like you have to be able to break it down. And I think some of the content we're going to do in the off season too is I'd like to do something with as many coaches as possible, talking about how to properly break down film, how to properly
Yeah.
break down your opponents. But I think it's gonna be a badass game. Weather and internet permitting, per usual, like we'll be at one password set up on the sidelines. The Stangs are going to bring us a tent to huddle underneath. Maybe I'll bring a little heater, but certainly we'll be streaming the game because it's, why not have the TVRA Senior game at 2 o'clock in St. Thomas?
Well, we talked about
Right?
that before the show. Are we going to address that? I think that's something that we'll maybe put a pin until next week. I
Yeah,
know that there's an article in the paper today, and I think that they're trying to address it because I remember when 2016 we played 7 o'clock on a Thursday and it was packed at TD.
Fact.
yeah.
Same thing the next year. I know I've
2012,
been at
same thing. Like
100%. So the game should be at night on a Thursday night or a Friday night, so that as many people can come and watch, or a Saturday
especially Friday's
afternoon.
a PD day as well, so that there's no reason you couldn't have it at night on.
100%. The
Yeah.
one thing I will say is they got the right guy in place to try to get this stuff back because I know the guy kind of running the athletics at TVRA now understands why these things are important. He's definitely pushing it. So I'm not going to say his name, but he knows who he is. But they got the right guy there to make it happen. So I feel like you're going to start to see some changes moving forward because I know this is an issue. Like this is a championship game. London High School Football Championship is a big deal. And it should get the recognition it deserves. And I think playing on a 2 o'clock on a Thursday doesn't really give it that, especially when it's in St. Thomas. I understand there's
It's such a
logistics.
great product, right? Like
Yeah.
it
It
really
is. It's a
it
great
is.
product.
Like
Well, we actually got a little bit of engagement from the chat here, guys. I've been watching it, and somebody asking, for either of you or both of you, what would be your 1 to 2 keys for the game for each team for them to get the win on Thursday?
So Sab, you got to stop off tackle power because you might get 50 powers if you can't stop it. So figure out how you're going to stop that while still being sound against the other stuff. I think for CCH defensively, you probably got to play some coverage against their best guy and take him away because I got a pretty good feeling that unless it's a crazy storm, you're going to see Sab come out and try to throw the ball. They have to put the ball in their best guy's hands, and right now the best guy is the quarterback. So I feel pretty confident in guessing that Sab's going to come out and try to throw the ball a little bit. That doesn't mean that they won't run it, and I think special teams is a huge thing. Like you got to be good on teams because the weather's gonna be a factor. So I would say defensively, Sab's got to stop power, and defensively, CCH has got to figure out like are they doubling number one and playing man, or are you gonna play hold and try to take away some of those seam shots? What's the decisions they're making there? Ben, what are your thoughts?
I would say offensively for CCH is try to get troopers involved in the run game, create that +1. They've been set like traditionally the CCH usually busts that kind of out in the play in the championship game with the quarterback. They kind of save it all year. You know they've been working on it for a month and they haven't shown it on film yet.
Great.
And CCH always gets into trick play stuff and when they have the 2 weeks for the championship game, they're always practicing something that they bring out in these big games. Sab offensively, making sure that you're getting like 4 yards of carry, like kind of lull them to death and take some play action shots with those one-on-one routes we were talking earlier. Try to beat them deep, like do what they do best, run between the tackles, get the ball deep to the best receiver. Try to take some chances early, just so keep it going. And like you said, weather's going to be a factor. Who knows which way the wind's blowing in the first and second quarter. When you have the wind, take those shots when you're available and play teams. Like teams always, we don't talk enough about special teams and how important that is. Like I even watching the B tier stuff on Friday night, teams played a massive factor in both those junior and senior games, and it always does. And usually the team that's best coached, like you gotta be really good at that boring stuff. And to like I know
Yeah.
fans like it's boring, like punt team, they're punting again, but like you got to be able to flip the field. You have to play field position in big games like this. Make sure you pin them deep. Make sure you do your boring stuff right and hit the seams when you get them.
Yep, absolutely. Well, you know what, fellas, I think that might be a spot to call this one. Again, the stream will be up 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. Myself and a few other great volunteers will be on site. It's called for like 6 degrees and sunny on Thursday, so it could be pretty cool. The wind blows weird at one password too.
Yes.
It always comes across the field.
Sideways,
Um,
yeah.
so
On.
it's different, but certainly, yeah. Recapping last week too, IDCI with a nice 18-7 win over Saunders. Bit of a heartbreak for Saunders, but IDCI putting a great product on, and
Totally.
the pinnacle matchup at 8 o'clock of the CCH 7-0 Laurier 7-0 juniors coming out in a 30-14 dub there, and East Elgin winning earlier. So some great football last week. Looking forward to a great game on Thursday. And any final thoughts before we sign off here, gentlemen?
Just good luck to the guys competing. Like it's a big deal to get to this game. It's 11 high school football is different than most places. Like it's a small community, but it's a very tight, intense community, and like that's why we love it.
Yeah, that's it. This will be one of the best memories of your life. So go out there and give everything you got. And I'm excited to watch the game because I just love high school football. I love football in London all over, but high school football is special. And I'm excited to see these teams play. And I think SAB, like first time in the game, you're gonna be nervous, but go out there and do what you got to do to try to win the game. And CCH, like those guys have been there before, they know what to expect. So it'll be an awesome one. Great game. Thanks for having us. I don't know, Adam. This is
Oh,
great. Love it. I love
Thanks,
talking
Adam.
ball
It's
with the
awesome.
boys.
absolutely. Well, maybe we'll talk ourselves into doing a recap after the game next week, but we'll chat here, fellas. So for Coach O'Donovan, Coach Snyder, I'm out of Melrose. We'll see you next time.
Next time.